So I'm going to get into my review of Ghostbusters Afterlife. There we go.
One I'm very excited to see and to hear your thoughts. I can't see because Japan's fucking weird with movie schedules.
Yeah. So here, like we discussed, this is directed by Jason Reitman, who's the son of Ivan Reitman. And Jason Reitman, I was a big fan of his. I still am a fan of his.
I think his last couple films he's had a couple misses, but when he hits, he is incredible. Stuff like Up in the Air, stuff like his one before that. I think that was Thank You for Smoking. Was that him?
Before Up in the Air, it was Juno, which 07, and then before that, it was Thank You for Smoking, 05.
Right. Yeah, when he hits, he's one of the best working directors out there. Thank You for Smoking, Juno. He's done a couple episodes of The Office. He did Up in the Air. But I think with some of his more recent stuff like a young adult, stuff like a Tully, I think is eh.
Where kind of things started, because like he had a great 3-movie start to his career. Thank You for Smoking, which is an amazing movie with Aaron Eckhart, all about the cigarette industry, cigarette business. And then after that he did Juno, which was Elliot Page. That was an amazing movie, one of the best coming of age movies.
One of the best coming of age movies ever made. Kicked off the career of Diablo Cody.
Yeah. Also, then after that, Up in the Air with George Clooney, Vera Farmiga. That's an excellent movie. That's a fantastic film. Then he did after that, where things kind of started to go a little south, was Young Adult. Even though Young Adult, I fall more on the side of liking Young Adult with Charlize Theron.
I do too, but I think it's one of Reitman's weakest movies.
Okay. I think Labor Day with Josh Brolin, he did that one. I think that one's I think it's one of his worst movies. He also did Men, Women, and Children, which I never saw. I heard it wasn't all that good. He also did Tully. I actually like Tully. I think Tully is pretty solid. Myself,
I think Tully. It's a movie that's too reliant on the twist.
You think so? I think
it's a movie that's setting up to a twist, which I think that doesn't work.
Okay. All right. But like I said, I like, for the most part, I like a lot of Jason Reitman's work. I was excited to hear he was kind of coming on to do this. You know what I mean? Hey, if anybody can get Ghostbusters back on track, why not the son of the director of the first Ghostbusters? Right? If anybody can do it, why can't he do it? So here we have Ghostbusters Afterlife. So it's a reboot sequel type situation here with this movie, where it follows the family of the Egon character, who was played by Ivan Reitman in the movies. So here you have his daughter.
Wait, that was Harold Ramis, wasn't it? Who was Egon? It's been a while since I've seen the first Ghostbusters.
No. That Egon was Ivan Reitman.
Ivan Reitman didn't act in the movie.
He didn't. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. My bad. I was thinking of something.
Yeah, it was Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ramis, and Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, Ernie. Sorry about that. I was looking at something different there. Sorry about that. So you have that with Egon's family. So his daughter, Carrie Coon, who was Proxima Midnight in Infinity War. I actually just found that out. I was like, never knew who played Proxima Midnight.
She's incredible in stuff like The Leftovers, The Post, and she played Ben Affleck's twin sister in Gone Girl.
Yeah. So you have there. So then following her two children played by Finn Wolfhard. Of course, people know he's the main guy from Stranger Things, the main kid there. Totally different from when we first saw him in Stranger Things. Now he's he's 18 years old now. Start to see him a lot of places there. So see him there also, and then the second kid is played by McKenna Grace, who is really the lead of this movie. McKenna Grace, she's basically been the young girl.
Think of her as the young version of most female characters ever. She was like young Sabrina on that show. She played young Carol Danvers. She was the young version of the Victoria Pedretti character on in The Haunting of Hill House, I think.
Yeah, she was also the young version of Margot Robbie in I, Tonya. She's been the young version of every white woman in Hollywood, basically. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, if you need a young version of a white woman, you get McKenna Grace.
Hey, good for her to secure the bag.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So here she finally gets her own lead here, where she plays the granddaughter of Egon. And she's very much like him in a lot of ways, very, doesn't really know how to much socially interact, very, kind of awkward in a way. And, and it's kind of hinted that maybe she's somebody that's on the spectrum, somebody that is, kind of like on that kind of level of, autism, because she says she has trouble kind of processing emotions or feeling emotions at times and, kind of, emoting. So, it kind of gets a little bit of that sense in the movie. And it kind of this family, they come down to this, they're broke, come down to Oklahoma, and basically, after they hear that Egon has passed away, they try to see what's there, inherit some of the stuff, maybe, thinking like maybe he left something good for us, and, only to come to this crap shack of a house that's on this farm, that when they go into town, they talk about, oh, you part of that dirt farmer's house. You got that house. You know what I mean? They didn't even know the dude's name. They didn't even know his name. They just call him, oh, the dirt farmer. That's all he had a farm and didn't grow anything on there, didn't do anything with it, but, just stayed in that crap, haunted house. So that's basically what they called it. And, very much with this movie, when we saw the trailer for it, I think a lot of people, including us, remarked of how it was kind of much like Stranger Things. You know what I mean? Very much with these kids, going around and focusing on, them. I will say it's kind of a little bit like that because it does give very much of a 80s Spielberg type of feel to it, about, these kids discovering ghosts and this cool kind of history of, the Ghostbusters and everything like that. And I did like the beginning of that. And I do like following McKenna Grace. I thought she was very good. And, how she formed kind of this bond with Paul Rudd's character, because Paul Rudd, he's a teacher, in this town, and, he's trying to teach summer school, and he's just one of those teachers that's just like, listen, I just kind of give up. I mean, most kids these days, they're stupid. I don't care. Just sit in front of the TV. I'm gonna play some movies. I'm gonna roll out some movies, and I'm just gonna chill out in my office. And then you kids just sit here. I'm not gonna do nothing with y'all. But he's intrigued by a girl that actually wants to learn, wants to be a part of something. Is very intelligent, knows about a lot of stuff. So and they start to kind of bond over that. The character, McKenna Grace, her character's name is, by the way, Phoebe. She starts to form a bond with another kid in school called Podcast. Guess what he does? He just kind of just goes around.
It's weird seeing yourself in movies nowadays.
Yeah, what I mean? Like in movies, it feels like there's at least one character that always has a podcast or is a streamer of some kind.
Yeah, we just talked about this with Chucky, and how like that's basically an entire kid's identity.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's one kid in Chucky who has a whole YouTube channel. He's like, hey, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yeah, yeah. So there's one kid in here in that. Who just kind of just goes around interviewing people with the, he's got the whole long boomstick and everything like that, just following with the mic, just following around people, interviewing them. And so I thought that was kind of good. And then you have Finn Wolfhard. I mean, mostly he gets relegated to just being the horny teenager. Like, he's trying to go after this girl in town. For the first girl he automatically sees, he's just like, okay, that's my goal. It's just to hook up with that one girl that he sees. The first day that they're there, it's just to kind of go after her. And, what I did like is kind of a little bit of a different approach, it being in, this kind of small town. It's not in New York again. So it's kind of like a different change of pace. It's trying to bring it a little bit smaller, which I kind of much appreciated. And the thing about, kind of this Ghostbusters kind of thing, it's like, I think Ghostbusters 84, it was something special. It was... Yeah, we talked about this. The 84 Ghostbusters, it's kind of this perfect storm of circumstances that it's lightning in a bottle that you just cannot capture twice. It had
Ivan Reitman, one of the best comedic directors. Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, two of the best comedic minds ever. It had an actor like Bill Murray, who is one of the greatest improvisers, Sigourney Weaver off of Alien, and Rick Moranis. All some of the greatest comedic minds to ever live, all coming together on one project.
Yeah. And, like you had these guys like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, at the height of their careers, SNL, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah. And, it was an amazing kind of thing, you know what I mean? It was this huge success. Nobody predicted it to be this huge success. And, it just kind of blew up. And then now it became a whole franchise like Hollywood likes to does, make everything a franchise, video games, cartoon shows, spin-offs, sequels, things like that. You got to keep pimping it until the well is dry and until it's just lost all meaning. And so I appreciate them trying to go a little bit of a different direction here, trying to find some new angles to it, focus on younger kind of kids, which I did appreciate, and then kind of pound around trying to do this. But after a while, it just becomes, hey, you remember the Ghostbusters? You know what I mean? Do you remember that movie? Do you remember the car? Do you remember the jumpsuits? Do you remember the ectoplasm? Do you remember Slimer? It was like, well, we don't have Slimer, but we got a version of Slimer. You know what I mean in this, and it's like, hey, do you the proton packs? Do you remember all that stuff? It's like, well, hey. We got it for you. You know what I mean? We got it all for you. You got the ghost traps for you. All those things that you love, the gadgets, the references, the who. Hey, you remember who do you call? You remember who you gonna call? You remember that? Well, we got that. That's gonna be in here too. We got that as well. With you have evil Dave Chappelle in this. He's in this as the sheriff.
Oh shit! Bokeem Woodbine's in this. Awesome.
Yeah. You got
that guy.
Yeah, evil Dave Chappelle. And so
I mean, I'm pretty sure Dave Chappelle just became evil Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe Bokeem Woodbine is the good Dave Chappelle now. maybe it's reversed.
We were wrong.
Yeah, it's reversed now. Maybe Dave Chappelle's the evil Bokeem Woodbine now. Maybe it's reversed now. So it's a lot of that, and I just feel like it just drags things down when you could have had a nice cool. So I get that. Listen, you want to bring in some of the stuff from the original movie. And stuff that people love, because you have to do a balance with these type of things. You got to bring in new audiences plus older audiences, to make them care about it. Because if you just completely alienate the older audience, then they're going to be mad. It's like, why don't they have this in here? Why don't they have that in here? Why didn't they pay tribute to this? And then, but you don't want to completely go all the way over to the older side, because you want to attract new, younger audience to Ghostbusters and make them love Ghostbusters, so you can maybe do your own trilogy of Ghostbusters of your own. So it's a difficult position to be put in. And the only one that I think that's ever really done it correctly is maybe Cobra Kai. You know what I mean? I think Cobra Kai, and maybe it's because it's a TV show or what, but I think they're able to do it where they're able to blend like the old stuff, new characters, and then meshing all together. And I think they're able to kind of do it. It maybe it's because it's something so simple as it's based on karate tournament. Okay, that's super simple. We can just make it a base idea there. I don't know what it is, but I think that does a very good job at doing that, at paying tribute to the old stuff, but also good at bringing in new audience, so even people who haven't seen the movies can appreciate it. So it's a tough balance to do. This one, it just comes off as super pandering. It's just like, hey, hey, remember all this stuff? They bring in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, except instead of being 80 feet tall, it says like these little cute, little tiny little marshmallows, and they all kind of mutilate themselves and barbecue themselves and do all this other stuff, stick each other in the eye, you know what I mean, with little umbrellas, and so it's like these little cute little things. They're gonna sell them in packs probably, candy treats, maybe for Christmas, little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man marshmallows that you can put in your little hot chocolate or something like that. And I feel like, yeah, a lot of that stuff is just it's just super unnecessary. You didn't really need to do, and there's tons of references to other kind of Ghostbuster stuff that they've done. And I just feel like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of just the weakest thing about it. It's just kind of like you have all those elements. You had a solid story here about this young girl who felt very isolated, being a scientist, being kind of very nerdy, very smart, and feeling very lonely. To you could have had this story about her reconnecting with her grandfather, who she discovers is also this big scientist and someone who is just like her. That's a solid basis for a story, and I think you could have really built on that and not had so much in this good little Scooby Doo kids mystery here that they did. That you could have had also with all the other kids, which would have been fine. It's just that a lot of that other stuff comes in and just kind of, I think, drags it down heavily. Yeah, I mean, I think that it'd be interesting to see where you come from, a perspective, depending on how much you love nostalgia, how much, that's a big word nowadays, nostalgia. Everything has nostalgia. Everything's being brought back. Everything's being rebooted. TV shows now, it's coming to the point where it's interacting with our age group, because you have things like Kim Possible who came back, and things like That's So Raven and Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah, the less we say about that Kim Possible.
But that's from shows when we watched when we grew up.
Yeah.
And so now that all that, so nostalgia, playing on that, trying to bring all that back again. And so if you're a person who kind of loves just going like, oh shit, that's that, and this is that, and that's a reference to that. If you're a person who loves finding all those little Easter eggs, I guess, then you'll love doing that, towards the, kind of middle and end of the movie, because it's a lot of that. And yeah, for me, I would give it I think maybe a 5, or maybe
Damn.
like a kind of a 5 or a light 6 maybe. It's not terrible. I think there's some good little. That's what's most frustrating, is that there's some good nuggets in here of a good story. It just it's like It's like they weren't confident enough to bring it out on its own, so they were just like, okay, we just got to throw all this stuff in here. It's not even done very clever. It's not even done, in a great way. Like a person who's really great at that, at bringing in a lot of references. Phil Lord and Chris Miller. When they did Spider-Verse, that was amazing, because it was like, it had all this stuff from all this different references to Spider-Man, the meme of them all pointing at each other at the perfect moment, and what I mean, them bringing up all the stuff that people made fun of in Spider-Man 3 and all this other stuff. They know how to, that's a great example too of them doing all the references, doing stuff people love about Spider-Man and making fun of the stuff while also paying tribute to it and loving it. You could have done that a great way too if you wanted to, in references, and done it in a clever way. It's just cameos just kind of come in here with, they just kind of just appear, and then, what I mean, in one way. And there's one thing that they do, which I would have called very egregious, but I guess because since the son is directing it, I guess it's okay. So yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I guess if the son is directing, I guess he must have been okay with it and cool with it, and thought it was good. So okay, whatever. So yeah, I mean, I'd give it maybe like a 5, strong maybe 5 out of 10 for me.
Damn.